I would like to send you my best wishes for a new week full of faith, hope, and results. These three seemingly simple things are the foundation for anyone who wants to move forward in their life's journey. Faith, the starting point of all change. Without faith, people easily fall into stagnation, doubt, and confusion. But believing alone is not enough. More importantly, you need hope, a light that looks up, a vision for the future. And to realize both, we need to act correctly, persistently, to create results no matter how small, but sustainable and positive. In today's sharing, I want you to contemplate with me a special ray of light, a ray of light that does not appear at the end of the road, but begins right in the darkest place, in the middle of the tunnel of life. And to receive that light, first of all, we need the right mindset. The good news is, to have such a mindset, we don't necessarily have to be extraordinarily wise. We just need to be willing to open our hearts to learn. A small but profound illustration. Suppose I give you a text written in Arabic, a language unfamiliar to most of us, without using any translation tools, without asking anyone. So, will you understand the content of that text? Of course not. But what if that content contains a secret that can completely change your life, like a prophecy in the Bible? What will you do? Very simple. To understand, you must learn. And that is the truth. If you know, you will see. If you see, you will act differently. And if you act differently, you will get different results. All of our deadlocks, failures, and falls, when looking back, many of them originate from ignorance, from the fact that we don't know, but still act on instinct, according to old habits. I would like to tell a very small story, very ordinary, but it helped me clearly recognize the two versions of myself, before knowing and after understanding. Many years ago, I had a very stubborn habit. Walking on the street in the scorching midday sun, I didn't wear a hat, didn't wear a mask, and wore short-sleeved shirts. My relatives advised me in many ways, but I still ignored them just because. Wearing a mask is uncomfortable. At that time, I believed that was okay, that I had a reasonable reason not to listen. But later, when I read more, understood more about fine dust, about respiratory infections, about the long-term effects on health, I suddenly startled. Superfine particles can go deep into the lungs, causing chronic inflammation, causing asthma, even cancer. I saw clearly the ignorance of myself. And from then on, a mask was always available in my backpack. A small change, but a strong testament to the transition from not knowing to knowing, and from knowing to acting correctly. Education, in my opinion, is sacred, because it is the greatest force that helps people evolve from an ignorant version to an enlightened version. And I always keep in mind, when you know, you will never think the same way as you did before you knew. Not only in health, that principle is also true in social relationships. Have you ever been annoyed when someone doesn't agree with your point of view? We often tend to want to protect our opinions, argue to the end to be right. But sometimes, the price of being right is the loss of affection, friendship, and even unnecessary hurt. We all have two needs. One is to want to be right, the other is to want others to acknowledge that we are right. If you still want to keep the first need, that's good. But try to let go of the second need. When you speak, you just need to make sure you have understood correctly, you have convinced yourself. That's enough. If someone agrees, thank you. If someone disagrees, it's okay too. You are never hurt by what you don't need. This is a quote I deeply appreciate. If you don't need praise, don't need compliments, don't need anyone's approval, then their disagreement won't affect you anymore. And you will live freely, independently, and happily. From here, I began to speak less and argue less. I no longer feel the need to convince anyone of something they are not ready to understand. Because I used to be stubborn and unwilling to understand, how can I force others to be different from me? Respecting differences, respecting the independent thinking of others, that is the sign of a person who knows. When you understand that I don't need you to agree with me to feel valuable, that's when you are truly free. And if someone keeps trying to force you to agree, to praise their opinions, then gently say, I respect you, but I have my own opinions. If they don't accept that, you can also withdraw, gently, civilly, and still maintain kindness in your heart. Life is a journey from not knowing to knowing, from judging to understanding, from stubbornness to freedom. Love learning because it is the only light that can illuminate the dark corners of inner life and the relationships around us. Your best version is waiting for you on the other side, where you have begun to understand. See you in the next episodes. Wishing you always enough faith, hope, and results.